So, really being able to explore new areas and to be adventurous, whereas previously we had felt that we had to be cautious. So now that's not an easy thing. Change is often very trying, and it can also bring a lot of nervous tension, which is in the atmosphere at the moment. Now, obviously, how the astrological stratosphere, the energy fields affect us individually is very different, but the overriding trends are similar. And really what we are being faced with at the moment to a large extent is to embrace the unknown, like to go out of our comfort zone and to experiment. But really, in order for us to be successful to do that, to a large extent, we have to really let go, especially difficult periods in the past, because it is often the case that we will carry some of the hurt, some of the hardships from the past with us. And, it's a kind of a comfort or a testimony to our experiences. So this is a time now with this full moon where we're able to highlight or even identify energy fields, thoughts, feelings, grudges, and attachments that haven't really been able to nurture us. So this is a time now when we're able to actually see them, like to identify that this is something that's not serving me. This is a situation, a circumstance that is not really furthering my happiness, my well-being, my inner contentment. So let's have a look. I'm just going to see if there's any specific questions to come through. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Adelina. Hi there. Kylie. Hi, Kylie. Tracy. Hello, my darlings. Really nice to connect. This is my first experience on video. So, yeah, I'm just out of my comfort zone slightly. So let me see if I'm not actually getting many direct questions here. So I'm not sure if there's something specific somebody would like to ask, and we could tune into that individually. So as I'm not getting any direct questions, I'll just refresh my page and see if I can do that. All right, well, I've lost the page now. I'm afraid. Here we go. No. All right, I seem to have lost the page. I'm not very effective with technology, but I'm going to presume that you can see me and that I will continue with the reading. If you'll excuse me a moment, please. Thank you. Enables us to be quite courageous, and we do need the courage now. And really, the whole reading is about reinventing ourselves. The energy field of the moment is really to support us and to inspire us to move forward in a way that we haven't previously, to step out of our comfort zone, to try new things. And that does include people as well. Now, at this time, the kind of inquiries that come to light is, are our friends genuinely supporting us? Are our friendship circles working in our favor? Is it a mutual exchange of support? And if the answers are no, our friends are holding us back, our friends may not be really on the same wavelength as us, maybe not attuning to where we're at, then it's time really to review that area. Like, especially if we feel that people have not been honest with us. So this full moon really is helping us to review regarding friendships, older brothers and sisters, those who really have not connected with us very well. So this is a time, to review that and to clear away blocked energies, where we can bring healing, where we can resolve those energies, then we should do it. But where we can't, really, that's fine also. We can just put a ring of love and light around the circumstances and just put it aside, so that we are physically, physically, mentally, spiritually equipped to move forward and embrace the new opportunities coming for us. Now, this is an interesting time to release hurt feelings, lost opportunities in dreams. So, there's a lot of angelic influence around at the moment in the dream world. So what I'm finding, and I think a lot of people, if they tune in, and probably many people are, that, we can access healing, well-being, peace in the dream world at the moment. And also kind of, there's a lot of dialogue taking place in the dream world, so that we can actually release or really vocalize through the medium of dream, vocalize, you know, things that we felt should have been said and were not said. So yeah, so then let's come to the area to do with ourselves. Now, what it tells here, for those of us looking into this astrological crystal ball today, this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever we are on the planet. So for those of us looking into the reflection, it tells that this is a time to have courage and know that if we want to achieve something, then we can do that. In fact, we would be very effective now in presenting ourselves, being competitive, you know, not feeling too much for our competitors, but really forging ahead and looking what's right for us, not feeling too apologetic about our desires or our intentions. Now, this specifically seems to be linking in to the area of love and romance. And specifically what it's telling is that if we really do love somebody, if we really want that person in our life, naturally there's nothing we can do regarding force and control, but it says willpower and focus of intent. Then in fact this is a time when we can clinch we can clinch an elusive situation. So we can consolidate that potential and get some, you know, get some affirmation from our partners, especially those partners who've given us the runaround, who are difficult to work with. So it tells, have that courage, don't feel, you know, what's the word? Don't feel shy or restricted, but, you know, because what is important at the moment is that we're able to rule in those people who will support us in our lives, those people who correspond naturally with who we are and where we're at this point in our lives. So we're going to rule those people in, and those people who don't reflect who we are, who are not really able to enable us to evolve, to develop in our personal and collective journey. So it's telling this is the time ready to cut the dead wood, literally to be in a position where we will not just put up with old situations that are going round in circles. So it is exciting, challenging and exciting at the same time. Now, from the astrology of the moment, which is where I'm gleaning my information, it says many of us are dealing with situations whereby it's difficult to make a very clear-cut choice. So aligning with our inner destiny, our inner magnetic field, then it tells, you know, that it becomes clear, even in very difficult circumstances. Now we can get clarity on making the choices which will narrow down the field of experience and allow us to really focus our energy where we want to make those achievements and the developments. So yeah, I think this is a challenging time, an exciting time, but also very good. So depending on whether we embrace the change or we resist it. Yeah. So now it tells that the energy feels present at the moment, and this information would be relevant to everybody tuning in here. I know that doesn't maybe sound very logical, but the fact is that we have all come together, however few or however many, that we are colliding or corresponding within a moment of time. And really what's being revealed here, it's telling that they could have been laborious travel in connection to work. It's telling that that would come to an end. It's also saying that those of us who may have experienced restrictions regarding travel, had apprehensions about travel, this is a time when we can break that rhythm. We can break that mindset, which may prevent us. It's saying that, you don't have to run out and buy a ticket and jump on a plane, but it's saying really between now and Christmas, those changes would naturally come through, and that expect to travel more into next year, 2020. So that's an interesting area. Yes, especially those of us who've resisted travel, that would change. Now, it also indicates here that this would be a time when we may reflect on those who we've lost. Now, the area that's highlighted here is mothers and fathers. It tells that this is a time when we can actually connect with them in our hearts and minds very gently. But this energy field, this portal, is open to us over the next couple of weeks leading up to the next new moon. And it just says, that if we want to go deep in our remembrance, our love, our respect, our appreciation of our mothers, fathers, or those loved ones that's passed over, that this is a very good time for making that connection. Because they just seem to be closer right now. The dimensions are, proximity of dimensions are coming closer. So yeah, and I think it is part of the healing energies that are around at the moment. Now, I looked on one of the other videos on the page here, and very interestingly, it was said full moon chaos, which, yes, to some extent, there has been a bit of chaos with this full moon, breaking up old patterns. But I think chaos, is the right word on one level. On another level, really the disruption, the chaos comes so that we can break free. And, that enables us to then form new patterns. That enables us then to, explore and let go. So it's almost like a time sphere. We're coming to the end of a cycle. A time sphere has closed. Of course, it's still there. We can access those memories, but we have more perspective. We're in a position whereby, we can look back without feeling so involved. So yeah, embracing those feelings of loss, and yet then healing them, that, all loss really is a state of mind, and, we can recover wherever there's love, wherever there's growth, prosperity. We can always recover the good around it, and, quietly let what has to go sleep, almost let it sleep. I'm sorry if that doesn't make too much sense. Maybe I'm talking too abstract here, because I can't see any questions, unfortunately. I could give it a go, and then I could tune in a little bit more personally, because obviously, you know, we want to be able to relate the information to ourselves. Otherwise, it can be difficult, you know, for it to be relevant. So I'll just try to see if I can go back into the page and maybe get some specific names and questions. Oh no, it's not allowing. What is this? Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Try again. No, I'm sorry. Spiritual direction. I'm just trying to see if I can tune into some of the comments here. That would be great. And thank you for your patience, because this is the first time I've done this. I'm probably worse than most, but unfortunately I'm not. I'm back on the page. But I am not seeing this stream. Oh, what a shame. Sorry about it. So let's see what we can see otherwise. No, I'm on the page, but I can't see the stream. I'm so hopeless technologically, so I'll just have to leave that. So yes, so now let's have a look. It's telling that for those of us that may have neglected health regimes, exercise, this is a really good time. It tells me most people tuning in at this time now, they're pretty conscious and aware of their physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. It tells me that pretty much the tendency to exercise is quite strong, but it also indicates that this would be the time to try something new, and that there could be you know, a lot of benefit from a little effort. So if you're used to working out in a conventional way in the gym, it's saying mix it up and try to do something that you haven't done before, and vice versa if you're generally only you know, working with yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi. It's saying, you know, mix it up, try something different, because the benefits would be really worth it. So that's good. And it's saying that this is a good time now through practice of exercise, yoga, any kind of mindful self-improvement, that this is certainly a good time for building blood. It's saying that, you know, physical well-being, and that there are a lot of life-enhancing energies around at the moment. So, you know, it's really well worth the effort to do a little exercise and reap the benefits. And the benefits could certainly be very good at this time. So yeah, that looks great, and also indicates that to be careful with fevers and high blood pressure. So just to be aware that, you know, everybody has potential to fall into a certain amount of imbalance. Now it tells that those of us tuning in at this time, we're more likely to suffer with those type of difficulties. And those are to do with overheating, a lack of body regulation, temperature regulation, and also it's saying tendency to fever. So, you know, just to be aware, keep yourself cool, don't overdo exercise at this time. So self-improvement, certainly this is a good time for physical well-being, physical proactive, and fearless. You know, don't feel we have to compare ourselves too much to others. It says, you know, really what we're capable of, we should not feel apologetic in any way of that. You know, we want to be better than everyone else on some levels, you know, when it comes to achieving, that we shouldn't feel embarrassed or held back. We should just go for it. Yeah. So that's lovely, health-wise. Now, it does tell me that for many of us, we may be having to face up to the fact that we've invested our love into our relationship or relationships that we haven't really been able to, so a real closeness could have been formed with relationships, certainly, but a level of mutual respect has been a little bit amiss. Now, this tells me because we may have been involved with partners or a partner who has been too controlling or elusive, too changeable, not really giving us clear insight into what their long-term intentions are with us. We may also have had some concerns over whether those that we have been in an intimate relationship with have been completely honest with us. So these kind of issues are arising in the reading of the moment. So it's difficult because it tells me here that despite the fact that maybe our partner has not been honest with us, despite the fact that we may have felt unappreciated on some levels, or not really considered as much as we would have felt natural, it says that still, you know, there is potential, and that, you know, this would be a time, specifically as we get into, I'm just fast forwarding here, so if you bear with me a minute. Okay, so it tells me really over the next 3 weeks, this is an important time whereby we could be able to know how much effort we want to continue to put in. Now, this part of the reading is relating very directly because, you know, obviously everyone has their individual story. Nobody's circumstances are alike, but there are different threads I'm reading here. Now, this tells me for those of us who would like to inquire about a passionate man. This is a gentleman who is very intelligent, highly articulate. It tells me there's a very deep love here. And it also tells that the relationship hasn't really produced its potential. So now I'm picking up a lady who's connected to horses, rides horses. I don't know if anybody watching can relate with that, but I'm picking up a lady who has connections to horses, has a very deep love with a gentleman. It's very passionate affair. It's telling really the next 3 weeks are very important for you to be able to evaluate. This gentleman is egotistical and he's defensive by nature. But I would say that, you know, despite the fact he undermines you to some extent and prioritizes himself, because there is a selfish streak here, it tells me that he does love you. Now, I'm picking up a name, Deborah, a lady called Deborah. So let's see if anybody can recognize or use that information to their advantage. But it tells me the next 3 weeks will be very crucial in whether your relationship will go, you know, will continue. It tells me the chances of the relationship continuing are very strong, but it's also important now for you to be able to really evaluate whether you want to continue with this gentleman who seems to be coming through as a Leo Virgo person. Yeah, so now let's have a look here. Just going into now, between now and Christmas, what I'm sensing for a lot of us tuning in at the moment, it tells here that we can really change, you know, in a way which can be appreciated, in a way which other people will notice. So it's saying a good time to buy new clothes, good time for throwing out old clothes, good time to color your hair a different color, change your hairstyle, reinvention. So yeah, it's saying, you know, don't do it like anything crazy, don't, you know, color your hair pink or anything like that, but just try something new. And that will work for us now. If we go out of our comfort zone, try something new, we'll reap the benefits. Like somehow or other, we'll feel like we made a good choice. So that's great. Now, yeah. So really, like between now and Christmas, what I feel is that there will be quite significant changes. It's not a time when things tick over. So I feel that these changes certainly should be positive. I mean, there are 2 octaves and the energy fields get channeled in the lower octave or the higher octave, as we know, because we all fluctuate between these levels, polarities. So when we're able, I mean, genuinely, we can't pretend, obviously, we have to be real. And that's good for us, you know, we have to be therapeutic, certainly in our approach to life. There's no good, I mean, some people say fake it till you make it. And to some extent, there really is some, you know, it's a bit of a gimmick and it does work. But at the moment, it's saying that is not the strategy for us. The strategy is really, you know, to wholeheartedly invest in bringing around those changes with a very conscious, clear ideal of what it is we want to achieve. Because the dynamics in the stratosphere are highly activated at the moment. So like as I was saying here, these two wavelengths or frequencies, and there can be sometimes very little difference between what will take us up so that we overcome that hurdle or the objection or the surface barrier and embrace the situation or the opportunity, or else, that sinking feeling whereby we fall into a more negative mindset. And then we think, that, oh, it's too difficult, or the circumstances are against us, which, often that may be the case. So the energy fields are very polarized at the moment. And depending where we're pitching, is this an opportunity, or is this something that, is not an opportunity, obviously, but, if this a situation whereby, we're just going to feel defeatist, like, what's the use? So we have to be very careful right now where we pitch, because once we pitch, the energy fields are so strong that we get carried. So whether we're on that higher level frequency, that tuning in on that level of enthusiasm, progress, and determination, or we get into the mindset whereby, oh, it's so complicated, oh, it's the same thing every time, and thereby, we're not in a mindset where we can solve our problems, because it is a time when problems may arise. But it also tells me that we will be equipped to resolve those problems better than we have been for a long time. Yeah, so try as much as possible, and I'm sure pretty much everybody's doing this anyway. I hope I'm not sounding too condescending. As much as possible, just to sidestep that tendency towards frustration and the like, because we may be tried. But I think the key is to see the opportunity in the complexity, in the difficulty, and spin it to our advantage. And certainly that potential is here. Sometimes it is better to just step back and not to engage, but this is not that one of those times. Yeah, so now I'm just having a look where else we can go with the reading here. Okay, now there's another thread coming through, which would obviously not relate to everyone, but it may relate to somebody who could be tuning in here. And what it's saying is that a past love, somebody who you may have distanced yourself from, somebody who you had a very maybe difficult relationship with, somebody who was at times unreliable, used to burst in and burst out of your life. It tells me, if you've had that kind of experience, now I'm picking up a lady whose initial is B here. It could be Barbara, could be Belinda, but I'm picking up a lady with initials B. It's telling me for you, my darling, that an old flame may well come back round. This is a particularly good-looking gentleman, and it's saying that your intuition regarding him is extremely good. And I think you yourself will be aware that this is very much likely, although unbelievable, not plausible, not, rationally speaking, it wouldn't happen, but it tells me that you are to some extent aware that somebody may come back from your past all of a sudden out of the blue, which can be a little bit disconcerting. It's telling me here that don't feel obliged, follow your heart, go with your intuition, because when it comes to this gentleman, you know, I think you know better than I do how to proceed with him. Now, it seems like he may be in a hurry, but it says, you know, that you don't have to oblige him. Go at your own pace. Don't feel like, you know, swept up. And, you know, that unreliable streak, excuse me, that he had in the past, it's cured 70%, but the tendency is still there. All right, so that was another scenario regarding relationships that's come through. I wish I could relate with you guys directly, but my technology or my ability to use the technology is not very good, I'm afraid. So now, obviously, we all have intuition and we all have psychic abilities. It's like football or dancing or anything else, cooking. The more we do it, the more we use those abilities, the better we become. Now, what I can read around the moment, it's telling that most of us tuning in here today in this little group, it's saying that we're all probably more aware, more able to use our psychic abilities than most. Or maybe we just, you know, some of us are born with it, some of us acquire it, but that latent talent, I mean, some of us are frightened by it and we don't want to use it. But it tells me that those of us tuning in today, 14th October, with the moon having just become full and moved into the star at the beginning of Aries. Now, tropically speaking, of course, the full moon fell in the middle towards the end of Aries, but sidereally, talking directly about the ecliptic of stars, that what the indications are here is that our psychic abilities are very close to the surface and that we should capitalize, use it. You know, it's a talent, it's something like a language. We learn another language, it gives us a big advantage. So sharpening up our intuition and, you know, embracing our psychic insights and abilities, clairvoyance and clairaudience. This is all very much in the sphere of practical everyday appliance for us at this time. So, you know, use it, really use it. And of course, you know, it's good to connect with other people who use their talents in this way, extrasensory perception. You know, there's a whole array of different talents that are latent within us. And sometimes, you know, we don't always know how useful they are. So, you know, checking in, having a reading with a psychic, actually just the fact that we connect with somebody who connects back with us on a different frequency can tune us into a stratosphere or an energy field. It's like, you know, the radio. So sometimes, you know, clearing energy by talking to a psychic, and Psychic Truth is an amazing platform. there are some really good readers on Psychic Truth. And I feel that the name itself, you know, like within our industry, the human potential industry, there are so many different avenues. But the ones that actually put the power back in our own hands, you know, that's, I feel, worth investing in. And, you know, checking in with the psychic, getting a reading, exploring Psychic Truth website, which is just wonderful and really cost effective. So, you know, it's worth it to invest in ourselves. And then, you know, also, not that we become dependent on other people to tell us what to do, because that's dangerous. Really, you know, a good psychic will empower us to use our own intuition and just give that gentle guidance. So it's strongly indicating to me here amongst whoever's tuning in. Thank you very much for doing that. Really appreciate it. That we're all very evolved regarding our psychic abilities and our spiritual insight. It tells me that to a large extent, many of us are coming to the end of a long cycle. And the next cycle to come would be one that would be challenging. It would be full of change, but that change would really enthuse us, would enrich our lives and enable us to experiment, be creative, inventive, and really the pioneering spirit is coming through quite strongly at the moment. Like, you know, especially when it comes to travel. Like, you know, it's always comfy to stay home, but it's saying for many of us, we will be challenged, and that challenge will actually be very invigorating and enjoyable for us to just put aside our you know, fears, apprehensions, and do something, embrace something different. Yeah, but no imposition. You know, this is not about external imposition. It's very much about releasing the potential from within us and, you know, allowing that to guide us. So that's wonderful. Now, I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about finances. I think there are some restrictions, but I would just say liquid assets. You know, like we have stable investments and we have liquid assets. So regarding expenditures at this time, it's saying that we have to restrict ourselves a little bit. The tendency to make impulse purchases right now is very strong. So just make sure that, you know, you buy it through, keep the receipt, go through the right channels, because you may change your mind about your purchases. Or, you know, it's just saying here a little bit of caution about impulse buying, because it tells me that financial fluctuation, especially regarding liquid assets, is very likely over the next 2-3 weeks. Tendency to purchase and first and think about it later. So just a heads up on that one, just to say, you know, that we may be coming under that kind of influence. And it's also important, it's telling that this can be a very good time actually to preserve energy, to save. This can be a very good time for saving, rather than flitting the, you know, the excess funds away. So just to be aware of that. Yeah, thank you. Now, okay, so it tells me, for those of us, you know, tuning in here right now, because the form of astrology that I use and the form of divination is guided via the transit of the moon and how the moon relates to the 12 zodiac signs, the stars along the ecliptic, and the planets. So this is where I'm gleaming my information from. Now, it tells me that there may be difficulties in our neighborhoods at this time. There may be an antisocial element moving in our neighborhoods at this time, which is generally not the case. So just to be aware, a little bit more aware, not to engage in any kind of conflict. I'm sure you're not planning on it, but not to engage in any kind of conflict with neighbors. This is not a time when you would be able to resolve outstanding issues. Potential for misunderstanding and conflict is running high in neighborhoods generally now. And indication is sudden, unexpected, antisocial behavior may just, you know, come out of the blue. So I'm just kind of giving a little bit of an insight there, you know, because sometimes we think the best way to resolve issues is to deal with them head on. And often that is the case, but at the moment, that's not the case. At the moment, it's definitely good to not engage and to deal with things remotely. So that's just, you know, I mean, for many of us, it won't actually manifest, but what I am reading here simply is potential for those of us tuning in at this moment in time, potential for misunderstandings to escalate is coming through in the neighborhood and in your locality. Yeah, so now on another level, it's telling that regarding home, our homes, it's telling this is a time for new ideas. For some of us, maybe about to move home. Some of us may want to redecorate, but this is certainly a time of change around the home, positive change within the home. Indications are we are home birds. We, you know, that's where we really enjoy life. Yes, we like going out. Yes, we are multidimensional, but really what I feel or what I can sense here is that a lot of maternal energy coming through, a real sense of well-being in the home, comfort within the home, but also a time to shake off complacency. So for some of us, certainly a house move is coming up here for the better, you know, a positive house move. And for others, what I feel is this is a time not only for reinventing ourselves, trying something new, you know, as we've discussed earlier, but also, you know, doing things differently in the home. Good time for rearranging, getting a sense of feng shui. And of course, you know, naturally the seasons are changing, whether, you know, we're going into spring or we're going into autumn. So yeah, this is a good time for redesigning the home. Yeah, and a lot of light. Emphasis seems to be coming here on light and simplicity. Yeah, thank you. So now, without any direct questions, I'm not sure how much more I can if you bear with me a moment, I'm going to see what's going to come through. I really wish I could connect with you personally. So I'm just going to see if I can tune into to some inquiry or some relevant information to share with you, because there's no point me just talking nonsense. I mean, obviously it has to be relevant. So